Come.
Okay, good morning students. So we are back again here with one more new video. In the yesterday's lecture we have seen the solid and the types of a solid. So in the types of a solid we had learned about the metallic solid, molecular solid, ionic solid and the covalent or the network solid, right? So in case if you have missed the lecture, you can go back to the YouTube video with the link which is sent on the WhatsApp. You can click on that link and you can watch the video again and again in case if you have missed any video of my lecture series, right? Okay, so today we are going to talk about the new topic, or rather we are going to extend this topic about the types of a crystalline solid. Yesterday few students had asked me a doubt about the metallic solids, so today I will try to cover about the metallic solids. Come little bit here. So let's talk about the metallic solids. So what is metallic solids? Metallic solids are those solids which are formed by the atoms of same metallic element, right? So this is what is called as the metallic solid. The metallic solids are those solids which are formed by the atoms of same metallic element. Now the question comes in your mind that what is exactly the metallic bond? Now let's understand what is the metallic bond. Metallic bond. Now this particular metallic bond can be explained on the basis of electron C theory. Electron C theory, right? It is a very famous theory, electron C theory. Now how we will explain this? Now let's consider that we have a metal bar, right? Now in this metal bar there are metal atoms. So these are all metal atoms which are present in the metal bar. So what happens? Each and every metal atom which is present in the metal bar will give away the electron. See, they will generate the electron. As the metal is giving out the electron, that means the metal atom will consist of positive charge. Right? So the positive charge will develop on the metal ion and the electron will be released in the system. So how exactly the metallic bond is formed? In the formation of the metallic bond, the positive metal ion will attract to this electron and they will form the bond. So this particular metal will attract this particular electron. So metal electron, metal electron, metal electron, metal electron. It is not necessary this electron can also get attracted to this metal. So such kind of a bond is said to be a metal and electron bond, or we can say a metallic bond is a form. This is what we can explain with the help of a electron C theory. Now the question comes to your mind, many of the students had asked me the doubt that why metals are a good conductor of electricity. Now why metals are good conductor of heat and electricity? Because when we pass the energy or when we give the energy to a particular metal bar, let's say from a one end, then the energy, the electrons which are present in the metal bar will move from one place to the other in the electron C, right? And due to this movement of the electron from one end to the other, we can say that the metals are good conductor of a heat and electricity, right? Now here in this case, the positive charge which is developed on the metal ion is also said to be the kernels, right? The positive charge are also said to be kernels. So we can say that there is an electrostatic force of attraction or the force of attraction between the kernels and the negatively charged electrons are said to be a metallic bonds. I hope that you have understood what is a metallic bond. See, the metallic bonds are very stronger. Metallic bonds are very stronger compared to ionic and covalent bond. Right? So as I told you that there is a strong attraction between the metal ion and the electron, due to which the metallic bonds are a very stronger bond compared to the ionic bond and the covalent bond. So what happens exactly in the covalent bond formation? In the covalent bond formation there is a sharing of an electron taking place, and in the ionic bond formation there is a transfer of an electron taking place. Right? So compared to these two, the metallic bonds are very stronger. I hope that you have understood the metallic bonds now. Now let's understand that what are the ionic bonds. You can simultaneously note it down. Ionic bonds, right? Now what is the ionic bond? See, ionic bond is the electrostatic force of attraction between the positively charged cation and negatively charged anion. Right? So the definition is very simple. Ionic bond is nothing but the electrostatic force of attraction between the positively charged cation and negatively charged anion. Right? But in this case, the positively charged cations are smaller in size and negatively charged anions are bigger in size. See, let me tell you, the same kind of a connection is there in the metallic bonds, but there the only difference is the metal ion is forming the attraction with the electron. So there is a difference between the electrons and the anions. Anions are the negatively charged particles. Electrons are the subatomic particles. So this is the basic difference. So try to understand. This is also force of attraction. This is also an attraction. But here in this case, the kernels, or we can say the metal atom ions, will get attracted to the negative electrons. That is the subatomic particles. But in this case, positive and the negative cation and anion are getting attracted with each other. Now I hope that you have understood the ionic bonds. Example can be NaCl is the best example, NaCl crystal. So here plus minus, plus minus, plus minus, plus minus, plus minus, plus minus. So here you can clearly see the size of the cation is small and the size of the anion is bigger in a size. So I hope that you have understood the ionic bonds. Now let's talk about the next kind of a bond formation. That is the molecular solids. Molecular solids. So the constituent particles in this case are molecules. Right? So constituent particles are molecules in the case of molecular solid. Constituent particles are ions in the case of ionic solid. Constituent particles are metals in the case of metallic solid. So let's talk about the molecular solid. The molecular solid is a solid which is further divided into three types. That is polar molecular solid, non-polar molecular solid, and hydrogen bonded molecular solids. Right? Now what is the difference between the polar, non-polar and the hydrogen bonded molecular solids? Now let's understand one by one. First we'll talk about the polar molecular solids. What is polar? The word polar we had learned in the 11th standard, polarity. When does polarity appears? Polarity appears whenever there is a difference in electronegativity, or we can say whenever there are two opposing charges, that means one plus and one minus. Whenever there are two opposing charges, plus and minus, the polarity is developed. Right? The example can be here HCl, H plus, Cl minus. So here we can see there is a difference in electronegativity. Chlorine, which is highly electronegative, hydrogen is a less electronegative. So chlorine will try to pull the electron towards itself, due to which there will be a plus delta charge and minus delta charge on the particular molecule. So here we can see polar molecular solids. Non-polar molecular solid means there is no presence of any kind of a charge, are said to be a non-polar molecular solids. The example is H2Cl2, right? H2 and Cl2. Here you can see that two hydrogens are forming the bond, two chlorine atoms are forming the bond. That means both are having the same electronegativity difference, both are having the same physical and chemical properties. Now here talking about the hydrogen bonded molecular solids, the example is solid H2O. Now what is solid H2O? Solid H2O is nothing but a ice, right? So this kind of a solids are nothing but called as the molecular solids or the hydrogen bonded molecular solids. Now what kind of a bond is present in the hydrogen bonded molecular solids? In case of a hydrogen bonded molecular solids, the bond formed is hydrogen bonding. So this particular concept last year we have learned, hydrogen bonding. What is hydrogen bonding? Now let's take an example. This is one H2O molecule. The oxygen atom of a one H2O molecule will combine with the hydrogen atom of the other H2O molecule. See, oxygen atom of a one H2O molecule will combine with the hydrogen atom of the other H2O molecule. So the bond which is formed between this particular oxygen and hydrogen is said to be a hydrogen bond, right? So I hope that you have understood what is the hydrogen bonding as well. Okay, there are two more types. That is said to be a isomorphous. Isomorphous. Now what is this isomorphous? Isomorphous compounds are those compounds which have same crystal structure. They are said to be isomorphous. The word iso means same, and morphous, you know, in the last period we have seen the word morphous means form. That means they exist in the same form. A compound may be one, but they may be existing in the two compounds may be existing in the same crystal structure. For example, we can take NaNO3 and CaCO3, right? So here in this case they have the atoms in the ratio of 1:1:3, right? So here what I want to say, that two compounds are existing in the same crystal structure. Here the example is NaNO3 and CaCO3. See here, one sodium, one nitrogen, 3 oxygen atoms, one calcium, one carbon, 3 oxygen atoms. So the ratio becomes 1:1:3, right? Then there is another term, that is polymorphous. Now what is this polymorphous? You might have come to know from the word itself. Poly is a Greek word. Poly means many. So they can exist in many forms. A single crystalline structure can exist in 2 or more forms, are said to be polymorphous in a nature, right? A single crystalline structure that can exist in 2 or more forms. Now here I can take an example of a carbon. We can take an example of a carbon. Carbon can exist in a 3 allotropic forms. What are the 3 allotropic forms of carbon? Diamond, graphite and fullerene. Fullerene, or it is also said to be a fullerene, or it is also said to be a Buckminster fullerene. Last year in the chapter basic concepts or the basic techniques in organic chemistry, we have learned about the allotropy of the carbon. Right? So carbon exists in the 3 allotropic form: diamond, graphite and fullerene. See, they all are nothing but carbon only. If you look at the structure of diamond, it is nothing but a carbon, but a very big network of a carbon. Similarly, fullerene is also a big network of the carbon. Right? So I hope that you have understood what is the polymorphous compounds. Okay, now we come to the last part, that is the crystal. Right? Now what is the crystal? Crystals are the compounds, or the crystals are the compounds which have a definite arrangement. Which have a definite arrangement, right? So the crystals are the compounds which have a definite arrangement, right? So in this case, we will also see crystal lattice. Crystal lattice, right? Crystal lattice are the three-dimensional representation of points. Right? See, this is not the exact definition. I'm just telling you the meaning in a simple words. Crystal lattice are the three-dimensional representation of the points. Now let's look at the crystal and the crystal lattice, how they are. I hope that you all should note it down, all this meanings. Okay, then talking about the crystal points, let's draw the crystal. So see, this is the crystal, right? So in this particular crystal, it is a three-dimensional crystal where you can see these points. These points are nothing but called as the crystal lattice, right? Or they are also called as the space lattice, or they are called as the lattice points, right? So this is nothing but the crystal, and the points which are there which are represented in the three-dimensional way are called as the crystal lattice. Now let's talk about the unit cell. What is the unit cell? Unit cell is the smallest part of the crystal is said to be the unit cell. Now let's say if I divide this crystal like this, so this particular part is nothing but the smallest part. The smallest part of the crystal is said to be the unit cell, right? So I hope that you have understood what is the unit cell, what is the crystal, what is the crystal lattice, right? For the exact definition, for the exact meaning, you can refer the textbook. Okay, now with this I will try to end my topic for today, and tomorrow I will come with the new topic with the 14 different types of crystal lattices and how to draw those crystal lattices. Thank you very much.